I'm Mike Roberts. This organization is Save the Graves. We are a nonprofit dedicated to the restoration, preservation, and celebration of El Dorado County historic cemeteries. Why are we in the Zentgraf house today? Well, why not? We got it open last year. It's an amazing historic place. It has not been opened in the recent past. It's been privately owned. It still is privately owned. And but there's been people living here. So, but thankfully, they put up with it the way it is and didn't do a bunch of stuff to it and mess it up or enhance it, so that it's still very historic. And that enabled the guy in the red car out there to get historical designation for it. He's very proud of that.
My husband approached the three ladies that own the property, the elderly ladies.
The Durkin family.
And they're like in their 80s. And he said, I will buy it and I will preserve it. And in my lifetime, nothing will ever be done. And it's now in a trust there's a trust, and part of the trust for my children who know his wishes.
The Durkin family, and I also got a chance to meet them a couple times, and they were very committed to it. And Beth, the one that I worked with, spent some time growing up here and talked about what a nightmare it was to grow up in a place that's uncomfortable, and she could never figure out why her parents didn't do more to make it easier for her, and she was just being a kid. And it's kind of cool, though, to see that type of generational commitment. Yeah, we're losing our historic places, and this one's unusual, but now it's got designation, which makes it really hard to get rid of. It's also, the property, I've been told at least, is full of Native American sites. So developing it would always be very, very difficult. You have to work around a real lot of stuff. Because there's like 100 acres here. Jacob Zentgraf was a stonecutter by trade. He arrives in California with his brother Anton in 1853. Supposedly has $5 to his name. We hear that a lot. But so be it. He worked as a stonemason in Sacramento for several months, making so that he had more than $5 in his pocket. Came up here and began mining for gold on Weber Creek, like so many German immigrants. In 54, the two brothers purchased this place, the land. The house isn't here. And the winery is not there, but there is a shack over here. And Michelle, one of the handouts has in the plastic has a layout of all the buildings that were here.
Right there in the window.
There's a window picture too.
Yeah, well, it has a layout, an aerial shot that showed all the buildings that were here. Just interesting.
Oh.
Anyway, there wasn't much here. There was not even much acreage. Actually, the Mountain Democrat reports in 1875 that the place is only 25 acres. So the acreage was not huge in the early going until they started having success in the wine business. The previous owner is this mysterious Mr. Stevens, who we know almost nothing about. All we know about him is that he planted 32 grapevines in 1849, and he sold them in the land where they were growing on to Jacob and Anton. So the first thing they did was immediately expand the vineyard. The second thing they did was to build a winery across the street that you should visit. We should all go visit and hopefully not get run over on the road on the way over after this. But it's also very, very cool. It's a stone cavity in the side of the hill. And it's, original equipment. There's stuff laying on the ground that's been there for a long, long time. This might have been the first vineyard in this part of California. We don't know. By 1857, the vines are producing 1,800 gallons of wine, which they're selling for $1.50 a gallon. And they're doing all right. In 58, Jacob marries Maria Fisher, the daughter of a German neighbor who lives just east of here. She is 12 years younger than him. They set up housekeeping above the winery. And the winery that you see today was actually taller back then. It had a full second story. Later on there's a fire, we'll talk about that. But the second floor did not get entirely rebuilt. It was rebuilt lower. This building won't happen for another dozen years after that. Meanwhile, they're growing a family, and they build a small distillery across the road, right over there, and they start to make brandy. 12 to 14 barrels the first year at $2.50 a gallon. This all adds up. This stuff actually gets to the East Coast. My friend Melinda did some research on the Johnstown flood, and there was Zentgraf wine floating around in the Johnstown flood. So that tells you how far this stuff is getting, which is really amazing. They're now bottling 4,000 to 6,000 gallons of wine each of the next several years, and they're also selling great cuttings to the other surrounding neighbors who are starting to do vineyards, including the Skinners. The Skinners get their start with these grapes. And I'm a little bit fuzzy on this, but one reference I saw definitely said these are the first non-mission grapes. You guys know the story with the mission grapes? They came up with the missionaries. They're totally designed for a different arid climate, and you could make wine out of them, but the wine sucked. So that's what everybody drank in the early days, and they didn't care that it sucked because they just wanted the alcohol. But eventually they figured out that other varietals from Italy and other places were better suited to this terrain and made way, way better wine. And so one reference I found said that this is the first that Stevens actually didn't plant mission grapes, that these were non-mission grapes. So that's significant. Gosh, I don't have the date on this, but Jacob buys out Antone after this is a going concern. At the cemetery, we talked briefly about Antone. He goes to Greenwood, starts his own winery, and does good there too. Greenwood's also a pretty good place to grow grapes. But he does even better with this mine. Actually has a whole series of mines. He makes a ton of money. He pulls like a lot of gold out of these mines. The interesting thing about Antone is that his name somewhere along the line gets changed to Z-A-N-T, Graf. And the conjecture, as we discussed before, is that it got some deed or something. It got changed on, and rather than try to fix it, they just rolled with it, and he became Zentgraf. There was also rumored in the Thai book that they had some sort of falling out. There's no documentation of that falling out. So we don't really know what was behind the split, but it worked out for both. So, all right, Jacob builds up other buildings. Again, before this, there's a smokehouse, a bakery, a granary, and he even enhances the distillery and makes it bigger. Now this place is known. Marshall supposedly stopped here in his wanderings.
Yeah.
So this is a spot.
He used to stop overnight here at the winery, get so drunk that they let him stay out in the stables overnight. That's where the story goes. That's how the story goes. And then he can be sobered up by the next morning, be back on the wagon, and take wine back to the miners in Coloma.
Oh, wow.
And this is Tom, and Jacob is your how many times great?
What's that? He's my second great. No, great. Yeah, great. Yes.
That's great. Thanks, Tom. And by the way, just chime in any old place. I'll probably get a lot of stuff wrong. I normally do. In a nod to his training as a stone cutter, the distillery has a really fancy stone floor, and I would love to go over there with a shovel and start scraping the dirt around because I bet it's still there. Apparently, he fitted the rocks together so tightly it looked like it was just straight, flat concrete, what we now call concrete. Anyway, by 71, the farm is up to 520 acres and it's doing great. The seventh child arrives in July. This house is built. We'll talk about the specifics of the house momentarily. How I know. 2 stories, 22-inch thick rammed earth walls, finished in plaster. One of the few buildings of its kind that's still standing.
Rammed earth is different from adobe. So adobe was laid out of bricks and you centered it, and rammed earth you build the form all the way up and just fill it full.
Right.
Kind of like the foundation of a house. The
And this is
foundation
called
and
a
the
building, by the
concrete
way.
center
And
was
so
dirt.
that's, whenever you hear that, just correct them right away. This rammed earth process back then was called pise de terre, and it experienced a revival for rural cost-effective construction in the 1870s. Great insulation, fireproof, inexpensive. So on the East Coast, at least, there was a revival of this, and my guess is that Jacob was dialed into that when he decided on how he was going to build this place. There's no kitchen or bathroom. and outhouses were common, but no kitchen. Why? Fires. Even though it's rammed earth, fire is obviously a concern. That's just my conjecture, by the way. The kitchen was across the road.
Excuse me.
Yeah.
The Zentgrafs had a cook. His name was Alec, and he's buried at Jayhawk, supposedly.
No way.
Against the fence. I saw his headstone years ago, almost on the outside of the fence, so I think they were a little discriminatory back then. And if you look at the show Bonanza, that was him.
Hot sing.
Hot sing. If you want to kind of compare a little bit, obviously now you go home and watch Bonanza tonight. But he was comparable to that. My grandmother remembers her mother telling him he used to make ice or rock candy for them. And they had like mulligan stew and things like that. But he was a cook. So, and his cabin was over there and it's gone now.
Yeah, and he would just bring us food over here.
Right.
Like I said, I went to high school at Oak Ridge.
Right.
And some, the nephew of the Gherkins.
Right.
Used to live here.
Jack and Frank. Yeah, he's still around.
All right, what the house is most famous for, of course, are the hinged walls. As we can see, they're not all hinged. That one's not hinged, but two of them through that door are. And apparently 5 strong men could lift it up and hook it to the ceiling, and so you could have a dance in here. So this was a community center as well as a house. And you could dance on the second floor, dance on the surrounding deck. It was
overflow upstairs for dancing.
Right.
Up those stairs. There used to be an enclosed closet there where that sub panel is. It was all enclosed, those stairs at one time. They took the panels out to make room for some reason. Yeah. So consider that being a closet, if you can imagine wood in a closet. But that's I believe the original stairs.
Well,
it's huge upstairs. You can dance. And
the dream for some of us is that one day this sees the multi-million-dollar restoration it would take.
Yeah.
And to have this come back as a community center would be an amazing thing. It's not going to be in Bob's time, but one day that would be awfully cool. So let's jump back to 1875. Jacob and Maria have now had 9 children, good Catholics. All the boys are involved in the farm, the vineyard, and winery, and everybody's doing a little mining on the side. They're still pulling gold out of the streams. Not enough to live on, but it's something, huh? It's something.
Jacob had 7 sons. None of them ever married, except the one I'm a descendant from. So I'm lucky. So, and he had 2 daughters, and one of them married George Clump, who was a mayor of Sacramento, I believe, in 1944. George Clump Funeral Home, you've all heard of that.
Oh, yeah.
Hannah married him. She liked the city life more than she liked it up here. So. Wolf, they live down the road. That's another story.
I know that house.
Yeah.
All right, the boys actually move across the road. They're living on the second floor of the winery because it's now getting too crowded over here, a little while here. By 1876, Jacob pays a whopping $5,500 in taxes. It's the second highest tax bill in the county. That's how well he's doing.
Excise tax, I think it was.
What's that?
Excise tax. They taxed him on his,
Production.
Right. So second highest, yes.
Maria dies in 1889. She's just 55. Mary, daughter Mary, who's 16 at the time, becomes the woman of the house and learns the true meaning of work. A couple of years later, a fire destroys the winery and distillery. The rock walls, of course, remain intact. A new, shorter roof structure follows. The distillery is not rebuilt at that time. In 2003, son William, who's 37 at the time, gets pneumonia. His older brother Gabriel is sent to Folsom for medicine, but instead of immediately returning to the farm, he gets drunk and spends the night in town, and William dies. The next death in the family is Jacob himself. in 1911, and he dies at 89.
That's a good age then.
Yeah, he did all right.
Oh my gosh.
In 1914, Frank Zentgraf becomes the next Zentgraf to drop. Way back in 1899, his older sister Mary fell in love with a nice German neighbor boy, sound familiar? Gus Wolf. She marries him, thus ending a decade of indentured servitude to her 6 unmarried brothers.
14 kids.
The wedding is a big problem for both the Zentgraf and Wolf families who've never gotten along. Tom, any indication of what the original beef was between these two families?
It's written down somewhere. They just never got along. It started off.
Wolf was walking home when
Yeah,
one of the Zentgrafs
yeah,
got
no,
shot at him,
yeah.
and then he
Had a shootout, but there's different stories. I don't think he was shot in self-defense. I think he was murdered. But that's another
Oh, you would think that. You're a Zentgraf. What a Wolf fan.
But yeah, you always got to protect your own, please, no matter what. But that's a long story. They just never got along.
For those of you that haven't heard it properly, I will tell you the story right now. The situation simmers for 10 years until Frank Zentgraf gets into a dispute with Gus Wolf over water at a placer mine. It comes to a head on a hot Sunday afternoon in August 1914. Gus is returning from work. He's walking right down the road here, he meets his young son Earl, who's been hunting, and has his hunting rifle. Frank is milking a cow in the corral, about 100 feet that way, and spots Gus and his son on the road. Words are exchanged, and the account that Ty and Carpenter tell is for reasons he took to his grave. Frank moves to within 15 feet of Gus, pulls out a pistol, and fires 2 rounds. He hits Gus in the chest and the groin, but Gus doesn't go down. Gus takes his son's rifle, and returns fire, hitting Frank in the neck and killing him instantly.
I forgot what I was going to say. If it comes to me, I'll let you know.
All right. The doctor's called. The bullets are removed from Gus. He lives another 42 years.
Oh, yeah. The Wolves didn't get along with the Zentgrafs because supposedly Gus Wolf was a wife beater, is what they called it back then.
Ah.
They took amends to that. That's my story. I protect my family. That's what I heard through the grapevine, and the families just never got along. And they actually ended up moving away really quick, and they never came back for years and years. I believe there's some wolves in the area. I respect them, and I'd like to get a hold of them so we can exchange stories and information.
Yeah, just leave your handgun at home.
What's that?
Send it to the wolves.
Yeah.
Well, they need to get a hold of me. Give them a phone number or something. I love to talk to them. I've got all sorts of information. I've got, where they moved to, where they're
The
buried.
rock foundation on the left.
Oh,
Yeah, right. Right, but,
both sides, the barns.
Which is basically a family feud.
Yeah,
Yeah.
full-time family feud. All right, so the sheriff, the coroner, and the DA all respond from Placerville. This is like the most exciting thing that's happened in years, probably. Who's who of rescue, some of whom we got earlier today, is summoned for an inquest. Meter, Wing, Engresser, Weber, Starbuck, Russell, Gormity. They're all pulled together, and they determine that Gus Wolf acted in self-defense. He's exonerated. We don't care what you say, Tom. Frank goes to the family plot we just left in St. Michael's. Finally, the Zentgraf family in 1925 sells the property to Sister Hannah Zentgraf's husband, who was Plump. The property remains in the family until 41 when it's sold to the Durkee family, who earns it until Bob bought it last year. So the place has only had 3 owners, and none have chopped it up. The building has retained the same basic exterior and interior configuration for the last 155 years. Tom, you were referring to walls being added.
What I want to tell you, so Bob is a retired archaeologist.
Right.
This place cannot have a better owner than an archaeologist. He's retired. And it is on an archaeology exploration program.
Yeah.
Things will happen down the road, but maybe not in my lifetime, but we'll see. They had a lot of gatherings here. He was prosperous, and he did well. So that wall shouldn't be there. That's going to probably come out eventually. It's on the historical society register, and that took a long time to get it there. Like, you know, they send it straight back like insurance companies. They deny claims, you know, then you got to put in for it again. But Bob got it done. He's the main guy. He's a retired archaeologist. He owns the property. So we got hinges. Upstairs is just as big as it is down here, except that it's got a little bit of a break on the roof. Because when they had overflow crowds, and they go upstairs and start dancing. So they get to go upstairs and dance. You know, they partied all night long in those days. Everything on the walls are 22 inches thick of adobe. You'll never find another adobe house in Northern California. There's one in Fiddletown, for what we know, but it's very small. So this is the hugest adobe in Northern California. What's that? That's a winery. It goes 80 feet back into the wall, so, or the side. That was built, they actually lived across the street before he built the house. The boys lived upstairs, and when they moved into the house, the girls came over here and lived with the parents, and the boys stayed over there. But that burned down in 1930, the roof, so it's been replaced, and it had a little bit different break. If you see the picture, I have the picture out front by the front door, you can see what it looked like back then.
So they put their hands in here and they lifted it up to get to the cargo hole?
It could be, In the basement, there's a door there. The slats are real close together, and I was told sometimes they put drunks down there that were getting rowdy at the party, and they put them down there overnight.
I don't doubt it.
To sober up. And Frank ran for sheriff in 1894. He lost by 27 votes. So they had law enforcement in the family too.
Yeah.
This is, you know, this is original stuff.
You got some work to do in here.
I want to do
Remember, wagons up on the hill.
my dad had
And they dropped the grapes down that shaft.
chute.
That was the easy way to do it.
Yeah.
What's all the way back there?
That's an air vent.
This is an air vent?
Well, okay, it might have been this, okay? If that's an air vent, this might have been where they dropped the grapes. I don't know. We don't know. But it's an air vent, see? Yeah, it helps keep it cool. Keeps this is where this is where the grapes came down, okay?
Yeah.
And this is an air vent, so
Beautiful.
they needed to know what to do to keep the temperature constant, and that was one of them. But this is really built well. Everything's built well. That's all dirt in there still.
Is that
So
boot?
that's, well, yeah, pretty much.
No, I mean, like, if you
Right there.
show your flashlight,
Well,
yeah,
that-
it's a boot.
Yeah,
Oh, that is a boot.
yeah, it could be. Could have been Frank's.
That's probably a compressed air container. But I don't know that. I mean, there's a tip on the end. It could have been a boiler. Hard to say.
I know.
That was here afterwards. That was brought in probably in the 40s. It had nothing to do with back then.
Yeah, it doesn't look that old.
Yeah,
No.
look at motors, man.
I'll tell you though, those tools in the wooden box up there though, those are the old wood,
Yeah.
the old stone, like
Yeah.
what you do to put black powder in.
Bob's catalog, taking pictures. He's doing a lot of research. You know, I got a few items from the family over the years, and they were given to me because they loved me. So this had a whole
What's
bunch.
not to love?
Yeah, right. But,
If you play your cards right, you could probably get this outboard motor.
well, no, I already asked Bob if I could do some metal detecting. Bring the grandkids up, just maybe a couple of nails here and there. He said, no. Then he told me that it's on the exploration program, and
See this one?
yeah, take a picture. There used to be another, that wall there. I think there used to be another wall.
When did this happen? You know? When did this wall get replaced?
About 30 years ago, a car came right through it. Car. Insurance paid for it. They were able to get some original type wood. I've got a couple of pictures around, but, yeah, so these rocks here were over there at one time. So these need to be taken out and repurposed somehow, you know, and somebody was, 20, 30 years ago, I would be up here every day. Finally took me in pretty much family when they found out I was a relative.
Well, I remember running into you, you were helping me fix the threshold over the door.
Right.
I drove by.
Right, that's another story, thank gosh, or the whole front of the building would be gone. Be careful where you walk. There's that's the end of my tour, so. But there's probably old coins in here.
We're gonna be.
Remember, they had a lot of people across this area, and there was a saloon. The saloon was either on, I think it was this side. That was storage. You see how the walls are higher over there, so that was for the barrels. And this portion was a saloon part. It wasn't one of those.
So really, people would come in and have.
Well, they'd be traveling. They would be traveling. They didn't come to say, hey, let's go to the bar. These people would be traveling, and Jake would say, well, you know, let's set up shop here a little bit and have them rest and sell a little wine. And he didn't sell it in bottles, he sold it in gallons. Wow, as far as we know, because bottles are too expensive. But the clay gallon pots were more, less expensive. Of course, he shipped a lot of wine. Look up the Johnstown flood. He shipped wine to his brother-in-law who lived back there. They had the Johnstown flood, and he lost some in-laws. And that was the beginning of the downfall of the winery too. So that was 1889.
Did this serve as a mortuary or something?
It's a true.
Did it also serve as a temporary mortuary or something?
Yeah. I think I have the thing
Are
where.
you just saying that, Tom?
No. I have a chair at home. I had a chair at home that they gave me. They got out here. It was an old chair. It goes around like this, and it had a stick coming up. And it had a head support at the top. It was made out of velvet, something nice. And we surmised that they might have propped people up for funerals and took some pictures.
Right.
But I said that's the only reason. It was like a dentist chair, the back of it. It was just a regular chair.
Memory montage of those pictures. It was a famous one of them.
Yeah. Anyway, so there you have it.
I heard that.
Now you come by.